Hello, and welcome to another episode of the
Lume Plotters.
infamous podcast from
infamous.
the
Oh, we're
UAE.
infamous now. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yes. So the funny thing is, every time Ralph and I start one of these podcasts, we chat, catch up a little bit beforehand, and then we were talking for like a solid 10 minutes here, and then finally we say, we should just record this because the 90% of the stuff we talk about is watch related anyway.
Exactly.
So
yes.
there's no point of discussing it off the air when we could discuss it on the air. So Ralph was just talking about a beautiful blue dial Norcane Freedom GMT.
I had a friend of mine offered me for a very, very tempting price. And it's, but I just bought another Norcane from that same person.
Did you?
Yes.
When?
Yeah, it's new.
You got a Norcane.
Yeah.
Is it a wild one?
No, it's the Adventure 42 millimeters. What is it? Freedom or Adventure? I think it's Adventure.
America. The Norcane America Freedom guns.
So many different lines. No, I finally have a Norcane. I'm very happy about it. I'll show you in a second. I just have to find it. So it was really for me.
Is it not in hand or what?
It is in hand, but it's in the other room. Then I have to get up and get it.
Oh, heavens.
Because I'm not wearing it right now.
You can just show me a picture.
Yeah, here it is basically this one that comes up here on the top, right? It is this one here on the rubber strap. Oh, no, not good.
The Adventure Sport.
Yeah, it's one of the first models that they have come up with. So this is the, still has the ETA 2824-2, not the Celita version of it. So it's a relatively basic one, right? It's very, very nice. Has this guilloche dial, which is of course not, it's stamped. It's probably not, obviously not real guilloche. And
it looks like tire tread.
Yeah, a bit. It's really cool. I think. Oops, sorry for scrolling around here so much. And it's super legible. It has an absolutely lovely sapphire crystal with the AR coating in it. It's pretty slim, and it was for me the replacement of the Tudor Pelagos.
Why? What happened to the Pelagos?
Yeah, what happened to it?
I am not wearing it today.
Oh,
I was just telling Ralph that this Pelagos, for some reason, I bought it, I think 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I have not taken it off my wrist aside from 2 occasions.
Yeah.
In which case, I kind of forced myself to take it off. One is today because I was like, okay, I can't have the Pelagos on again for another podcast episode. And the other time was I don't remember what I was wearing, but I was like, I need something a little bit different, a little bit more, under the radar, dressier. So the dressier alternative to the Pelagos, of course, is the Black Bay 54.
Ooh.
So I have it on the Grey NATO from the Grey NATO, and it's kind of like it plays second fiddle to the Pelagos.
Oh,
so the Pelagos is the perfect everyday kind of at home, cooking, swimming, running, whatever you want to do. And it works for everything. You can bash it up and you don't care. And then the more refined version, of course, is the Black Bay. So I feel like they both complement each other very, very well. So I'm surprised at how much I like the Pelagos.
I mean, as I said, since this is, my former watch, I loved it. It's just a fantastic watch. It wears so well because of the titanium and the size and
but 21 millimeter lug width, like, come on.
Okay, that's this little thing that Tudor and Rolex always do.
That's the only thing.
Lugs
the only thing that bugs me.
us.
Okay, if we're really gonna nitpick, the only thing that bugs me is that stupid. I wish it was 20, but nothing. Whatever. Who cares at this point? I'm not taking it off the bracelet. So
before, I have to tell you one thing. I have been at the Siddiqui event, 75 years of Ahmed Siddiqui and Sons. And to that occasion, they also have renamed themselves and are now called Ahmed Siddiqui.
There's no sons.
No, and I think this is women power. This is girl power because he has daughters in the business, right?
Hind Siddiqui, yes, correct.
Exactly. Hind Siddiqui and I think Reem Siddiqui. I don't know exactly, but I think there's
then
multiple
why Ahmed
daughters.
Siddiqui then? Why they don't even need the Ahmed? Drop that too. Just
but
call it
he's-
Siddiqui. Yeah, but you call it Siddiqui as the whole family.
True. Maybe in the 100 years.
Yeah, I guess
Or the 100-year
another.
anniversary.
Yeah, but
So-
the sons, I agree because they stopped putting sons on the name. They just said
Yes,
Siddiqui
exactly.
everywhere you
Exactly.
go. So it
That's
doesn't make more
now
sense.
official to the 75 years. It's actually that they have removed the sons.
Yes.
Anyhow, so
Yes.
I tried the novelties there in the Mina Salam in Jumeirah at Jumeirah Beach in Dubai, and it was really, really lovely to see all of these novelties there from resins, from all of the top Moses, and of course also from Tudor. And I must admit, I did not think that this large Black Bay, the 42 millimeter,
63, 68,
something, 68, I think.
something, the big one, the
black
43 mm
and
one.
blue. I thought black and blue, that's a rubbish combination.
Yes, we
and
said this,
I
and it
put
looks
put
pretty
it
good on your wrist there.
And it looks really nice, and it looks way less big than I thought it would.
It does look fairly good on your wrist. And I have to mention, remember, when we look at my Black Bay 54 that I'm wearing right now, it has the same black bezel, this matte black bezel. And everyone thinks the Black Bay 54 is a black dial. But in fact, it's not. It's a brown dial. So depending on what light you're in, it's a sunburst brown, dark brown dial that it's supposed to, in my opinion, mimic the chocolate brown faded dials of the old subs. So when we think about this two-tone bezel dial combo, it is already been there. So this I think looks pretty.
I was so surprised.
As crap.
It looked really, really nice, and it doesn't have the rivet bracelet. And not that I cared about the rivets.
I like the. I honestly, if it's
I don't mind.
If it's my one watch with a rivet bracelet, I'm like, I can have one with a rivet bracelet.
Yeah,
I
totally.
could not care.
And, these are things. The moment you wear that, you don't see them. It's just, I think it's on the screen. You might find it a bit weird, but it's actually totally okay. Anyhow, and then I tried this one.
I've been wanting to not just try it, but to see a video on this. I've Googled on YouTube. There's not been one major YouTuber that has made a video about the Pelagos Ultra.
Yeah, and
I don't know why.
The funny thing is, it doesn't say Ultra on the dial.
No, anywhere.
It just says Pelagos Master Chronometer,
but in this
1000
nice
meter
blue color.
Yeah, this is like Tiffany
blue, exactly.
And it has this helium escape valve on the side, the integrated one or the automatic one. It's very, very nice. It's just a tiny bit, of course, more chunky than the Pelagos 39 and has a date. But the date is so nicely integrated, like a Lume plot. So you see that it's actually fading away if you don't want to see it. You know what I mean?
So is it the upgrade that you want? Is it because it looks pretty good on you?
It's perfect. I mean, I tried it on and I thought, right, it's really cool. But and that gets me to one of our Q&A questions later on. The price.
23K.
Whoa.
I just looked it up yesterday and I was like, how much is it?
Price.
The regular Pelagos now is 22K, which is also a bit woof, right?
Yeah. What is it? 39? 17, right?
19 something.
I sold it to you for way too little money.
How much? Well, no, it's actually in accordance with the Norcane that you were talking about earlier. But anyway, point of story is this one now costs as much as an OP, a 36mm OP roughly.
Yeah.
And then that brings up a whole nother question is like, is it as good as a 36mm OP? Who knows?
See, I must say, I had this discussion with the sales representative and Hussein, who's also there from our watch group. We talked about...
Have we had Hussein on the channel?
I don't know. Did we? I think when Dubai Watch Week, did we interview him once, or we wanted to?
I for some reason, I think we interviewed him, but
we had Hussein on the show. Yes, I think we did.
Okay.
And we should have him again because it has a lovely discussion there. So what we discussed there was, we thought Tudor is done with the hype, right? I think they last year, the end of last year, not end of last year, beginning of last year, we thought, okay, that's it. I think they had their time, they had their big hype. There was nothing really that we thought was so exciting. And then they come out with the Chronos, with the flamingo blue and pink and all of this the FXD versions. Yeah. And then the ceramic version with the blue for the Formula One. And they still created hype to a certain extent, but we thought it's dying down.
It's not about hype, but at the same time, they're upping their price. They're going up.
Yeah. And then they bring these new novelties, which are actually really, really lovely. And I couldn't believe how well both of these wear. Mm-hmm. Given the size,
I don't think they would wear as well on my wrist, honestly, because I think my wrist is too small. But
it is a bit taller, this watch, of course, right? 1,000-meter water resistance, so it is a bit chunkier. But from the size in general, I think, as you can see here, I think the lugs are sharper going down. So the lug to lug is probably not as grown as much.
The lug to lug on this is 50, which is the same as the FXD and the older Pelagos. So it did not grow in that size. That's good. And the lug width also didn't grow.
So I think this one is such a competitor to the Yardmaster Titanium now.
It is.
Because it really looks
frankly,
good.
I also believe that if you look at this, it is now really taking on the design cues that we got with the FXD, right? So in my opinion, we have the old Pelagos. Mm-hmm. And the old Pelagos had its issues, right? It had some quirks. Yeah. And some features, right? The quirks, things like the rehot that was cut out, right, for the Lume plots to go into, and it was super thick. So if you looked at this is a new nitpick that I have ever since I had the Seiko SPB 411. The dial to crystal sizing, right?
Yeah.
How tall the hand stack is. That was huge on the old Pelagos. Then the FXD came, they shrunk it.
Yes.
They essentially made it thinner.
Yeah.
And then after the FXD came the Pelagos 39, which then continued that look. And then this is, I think, the redesign of the original Pelagos is what it should be.
Yeah.
Because it has all of the new design elements, the sharper bezel, the sharper crown, no more weird rehot, skinny dial to crystal spacing. So all of this has changed.
Yeah.
But one thing that I heard today that I wasn't aware of before, with the old Pelagos, they had a stainless steel clasp for some reason, and nobody seems to know why. So the old Pelagos with the spring-loaded clasp was actually stainless steel. So people were complaining. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
People were saying that the wear on the metals were not the same.
Probably, maybe it was the old Pelagos version when they didn't have the in-house movement yet. Because the Pelagos is a very old
This was
movement.
This was the LHD. So it was already
okay,
in-house.
Then it's just a new one, yeah.
So they did not change materials between the two. And... So I don't know why, but they said that after wearing it, you can tell the difference between the stainless steel clasp and the titanium. So it was the Pelagos 39 was the first one with a titanium clasp as well.
Okay.
And then now the new one, this one, has the spring-loaded clasp and is in titanium. So that's another big jump up.
Yeah. I mean, it was super comfortable to wear. It was really nice. Let me quickly walk you through this little event so that you also see that.
What are you wearing on your wrist first?
First. I'm wearing my DUG Purist Type 2 on the bracelet.
Yeah. Yes, the Dougie Hauser.
The Dougie Hauser. And it started to get scratches on the clasp, unfortunately, because
Oh no, heavens to Betsy.
As I'm always a bit sad for the first scratch, but it is here, it is there. I don't know if you see that scratch, but
speaking of scratches,
anyhow, what to do?
Ralph sold me that Pelagos 39, and it has a chip in the crystal. And by the way, I've looped it, everything. It is 100% a sapphire chip. Wow. It is. Because not only do you see the main chip, you see a scratch emanating out of it with smaller chips. So I don't know. So you must have been a motion of some sort. And I've been swimming with it a lot recently. And when you go underwater, you know, it magnifies. You could put like a droplet of water on it and it really magnifies it. And you can see that it's one bigger chip with like 3 or 4 little tiny dots, like in a line.
Okay.
So it means you knocked it and then scraped it a little bit. Which the question is, what on earth could you have knocked it on that...
That is a very good question. I mean, look, I took the watch to Africa, to safaris and all of the stuff, and there was some rough terrain and all of the stuff. Who knows? But I can't remember this banging it.
Yeah, that's the question, is because it must have been a big knock.
I mean, look, sometimes
you
bump into a door handle or something and you just look at the watch and think, oof, thank God nothing happened. And then there is a little tiny damage somewhere that you never knew it existed, because it's not a dial that I would loop, right? So
no.
So I didn't do that.
But in addition, I just thought it was a speck of dust, and I kept trying to wipe it away, and I'm like, why the hell is this not going away? And then that's why I decided to loop it.
There is a way of actually moving this. That's like putting something inside. There's some stuff you can do for the crystals if you have a tiny chip.
Yeah, same with like windshields, right? You put some little glue of some sort and it makes it optically disappear. I don't care, obviously. I don't care.
Good. So yeah, this was the little Siddiqui event with Siddiqui. So we had a couple of new novelties there from Frédéric Constant, ID Genève. What is ID Genève? I don't know exactly.
I don't care.
I've seen a few things from them.
It's a Tudor shield, and anybody that thinks otherwise is stupid.
Okay. Then
it not? Tell me you don't look at that. You're like, Tudor's redone their logos.
Yeah, it does look a bit like it. Then Norqain with the new Wild Ones in 39 millimeters.
What was the old one?
42 or 43. It was quite big. Yeah. So this is now much more variable. Really, really nice. Also some limited edition colors. And you have the 8K movement here on top. I don't know. I think it's a special development they did with somebody together. I'm not so sure if it was AMT.
I really like these. I really like them.
They're really nice and wearable now with this size, of course. Then what else did we have? We have a Louis Erard with these regulator watches. Very cool. Then we had these Reservoir with Olivia Oil and Popeye. I sort of like these. They're funny.
I'm good.
So, it's a jump hour, which is the thing of the day, right? I mean, Hussein and me were wondering again. I mean, we had this on the show as well, saying, what happened that suddenly in 1 year, every brand is bringing out jump hour watches?
Yes.
So my theory is, and that's a conspiracy theory, so listen to it, it's juicy. I think there's 1 or 2 movement manufacturers who had a jump hour movement, and they shopped it around to all the different brands and said like, hey, jump hour, I have a jump hour movement. Do you want to have it? Look, you can.
It's a really good price. Really good price.
Exactly. And then all the brands that didn't buy it thought, jump hour, that would be quite something nice, right? Let's do a jump hour movement ourselves, right? Instead of buying this movement. So basically, it sparked somehow this, that suddenly everybody makes them. Because why otherwise would suddenly everybody come out with jump hour movements? It's just like a trend. It's like everybody conspired to say like, hey, this year, jump hour. Anyhow, so
I don't know if
Bremont,
that was
jump hour
movement. But I did see that back in 1998, Omega made a DeVille jump hour with a tonneau case, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's that. I saw that as well now that jump hour was in the news, and everybody just went in the back catalog and looked at what did exist.
Yeah. There was a lot of cool stuff, and it was cheap, and it was ETA-based, nothing, crazy. It's just interesting.
So I looked at this new Bremont MB Martin Baker version because I had this once, right? The Martin Baker 3. And I sold it after a long, long time. And I loved the watch. I thought it was very, very comfortable. And it still has this triptych case construction, this 3-part case construction. This one was made from titanium, super light, slimmer. Has still this ticking internal bezel from the outside crown, which clicks very nicely back and forth. It is a well-made watch. It is very, very nice, I must admit. This Bremont Martin Baker, or now they call it, I think, I don't know what they call it. It has a name. Altitude, yeah. Not any. I think they're still making it with Martin Baker, the ejection seat manufacturer for planes. Titanium, super light, slimmer than the old one, much more wearable. It's a great watch. I have to admit, it's a great watch. Anyhow, next, this was basically the event. There's Ivan, my sales advisor, who's always looking after me quite well. So it was not huge. It was just half of the ballroom. And here we see then a couple of novelties from Breitling, small ones, 38 or 39 millimeters, top time,
Pause.
and some other ones.
Did you know, speaking of Breitling top time?
And you know what I want to say quickly, that is the new in-house movement that they co-developed with AMT from, Celita, this special movement brand. No one cares about Breitling finally having a three-hand in-house movement. It's important.
Breitling made a freaking top time, what's it called? Tourbillon.
Yes.
For $50,000 US.
Yes.
Who is buying a $50,000 Breitling?
The same person who is buying the $50,000 or $120,000 Tag Heuer chrono.
So no one.
Split.
No one.
Twin double split chrono. Yes,
it's just like
these are Halo products. These are Halo
burning
products.
a hole in my pocket. Let's go to Breitling.
But you know what? Once when I went there and I saw these solid gold versions of the Chronomat and some other watches, and they looked really nice, the rose gold versions. And I asked for the price, and it was 90,000 dirhams, so $25,000 or euros or whatever. And I thought, for that money, I can already buy a pre-owned Patek and, a white gold Patek or something, a Calatrava and other things. And you think, hey, you can buy a nice Royal Oak for that money. No, I mean...
I don't know, but it's really...
Would I buy the golden one? But you know what? These are Halo products. They anchor a price point, so that makes everything else they sell look more affordable,
much cheaper,
right? So it's just marketing. I think it's not necessarily meant to sell that much. Then Bell & Ross did a couple of new ones, and Bell & Ross is owned or partially owned by Chanel, and so with Chanel also partially owning a bit of Kinesi, they have access to all of the Kinesi movements now, and they utilize that quite well. So they have Tudor movements. And also these cool little star stuff. I like the BR05. I always liked it. Now in this color, pretty nice. And then we have Tag Heuer. Here, Tag Heuer novelties. Okay, I already spoke about these. There is also a Tag Heuer tourbillon. Tourbillon chronograph, right? Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, the Breitling is also a tourbillon chronograph, I should mention.
Then, of course, I just tried the Tudors. And then we saw some Alpinas. There's also some of these watchmakers that you always forget that they exist.
Yeah. Alpina, U-boat. U-boat is just a joke.
U-boat, you have here you see the bubble. They have the oil-filled dials, and you have this air bubble everywhere. And they have proudly put this on the dial in the front, right? This bubble. And you need this bubble because the oil or the air, whatever it might be, something might expand during the... Oh yeah, it's this heat can expand a bit of the metal and the crystal and whatever. Certain things can move in size and squeeze the oil. And if you don't have the air bubble, it could actually pop out the crystal. And that's why you have the air bubble.
That is the cheap, stupid way of solving this problem. Or you can go into an actual real solution where you have a bellows system, where you have an excess overflow for this oil, a la resins when they make
resins basically
watches.
Have also the air bubble with the overflow system just hidden.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is what you should do.
Yeah. I mean, they are actually proudly presenting this bubble. I think.
No, they're proudly. It's like, the manufacturer in the 80s and 90s who still had a 4-speed automatic, and then they would still brag about it. Or you'd print on the back of the Toyota Hilux, you would say fuel injection. Everything
5
already
speed.
had fuel injection. Yeah.
Yeah. 16,
we have air
16
bubbles.
V. 16V.
U-boat has air bubbles.
Yeah. But Then we have Tutima from Glashütte. It's also, I think, an independent company still, Tutima. You don't hear much from them, but they do decent watches. Yeah.
Sounds Italian.
I know. Tutima.
Tutima.
Concord. Yeah, also Swiss manufacturer, still family owned, I think. And I just have to applaud these companies. No, I'm honestly, we have to applaud and celebrate these little companies that still, Doxa and Oris and Concord and Alpina is part of, I think, the Frederick Constant Citizen Group. But what did we have before? Tutima we had before, and something else. These little family-owned, Maurice Locrat, for example, these little family-owned companies that are still existing, they are not very big, and they still somehow exist today with all of these micro brands attacking them left, right, and center for this kind of market share for that price level. It's not easy. I mean, I have to draw my head that they're still around. It's not,
and that begs the question, why?
No, it's okay. It's for us to have more choices.
Yeah.
Then we have seen Doxa, and Doxa has created a couple of diamond-studded lady diver watches, which makes you ask,
why?
But I think it's
all the only question I ask these days. Why?
Yeah.
Anything new? Why?
But this is the thing when they said make it small, make it smaller, make it quartz, make it pink, make it diamonds.
Yeah.
For the ladies, right?
But this is not quartz.
What did they do? Okay, not quartz, but make it small, make it pink, make it diamond. And they have done it.
But they have two new things. They did come out with a new 200T with a stainless steel bezel, which is new.
Okay.
Before it was a sapphire insert. And they also came out with the new GMT, their 250T, which is their first GMT ever.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Just in case.
Yeah. And then we have here Konstantin Chaikin did some nice stuff. Obviously, all not the super slim one, because they have now created the slimmest watch in the world, right? Chaikin,
yes.
Which is, I mean, that came out of the left field. I would have never actually thought that Chaikin, of all manufacturers, who basically uses still ETA-based movements most of the time, because he needs so much of torque for their display of the automatons, right? So you wouldn't think that this company is starting with such a high horology feat of making the smallest watch, thinnest watch in the world. But they did. Armin Strom, a company I don't know enough. I need to really read up about them. But if you look at these double balance, double something here, there is some serious stuff going on there.
Yep.
What they do, it's pretty impressive.
What they do, we don't know, but yes, they do stuff.
Yeah, it depends if you like the design. I mean, that's always the first thing is you can appreciate the technology and the craftsmanship there. But if you don't like the design, it just doesn't matter how good the stuff is. You will probably still not buy the watch. But
Correct.
At least you can respect it, I think.
Yeah, of course. And I think they're
as well
good
with their things. And let's go quickly through it. Speaker Marin. I'm not a fan of their designs, but also great watchmaking. Then we have HYT and
who went bankrupt, and then somebody bought them out, and now they're back.
Yes, they're somehow still hanging on to life, which I think is not bad, because this is at least an innovative feature to use liquids to show the time, and with the pumps in it and all of this stuff. It is cool. I like it. Biver had a couple of watches there. They are, of course, now a bit more muted. They're the three handles.
So, question. If Biver makes a dive watch, are they going to call it the Biver Diver?
the Biver Diver. Yeah.
The Biver Diver.
I have no idea. Yeah. And then, of course, this amazing Gröbe Fossé. They always look a bit quirky,
ugly.
I think. Yeah, you could say ugly, but of course, the watchmaking itself is amazing. These are the detailed shots of the Bivers. Of course, you can't see them, but of course, there was a couple of interesting stuff. Resins had some
I
new,
love
new
resins.
things.
I really like resins.
Yeah, these are the classic oil-filled ones that just look absolutely amazing. Especially, this is the bracelet. I mean, there was a bit of, some people didn't like the bracelet in itself because it's looking a bit, industrial, but I think
It is.
it's pretty cool.
No, I think it's the first one to be on a bracelet, so it's kind of cool.
Then we saw the novelties of Beauvais, and the cool thing, see here the hands, they are actually every hour they are forming a heart when they actually meet the hands. See this? Yeah.
That's awesome. This is
awesome.
what I need in my life.
And that is for the ladies, obviously,
yes.
because only the ladies get the heart. Then Gerald Charles, yeah.
God, another stupid company. Like, seriously. There was a guy that was trying to sell on our group a Gerald Charles for like ages. And they're so expensive. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they lose so much value in the secondary market. It's I don't know. I'm really not having access to this brand. It just doesn't get to me. I mean, I just can't be excited about this brand because it's so weird a bit. Laurent Ferrier, simple classic. Then of course two new Mosers that I saw with cool stuff. Then I don't know which brand this is. Impulsion, Flying Tourbillon, Monopusher, Chronograph, double barrel. I have never heard of this brand before. Impulsion or whatever. This probably didn't copy the name right there. Uhrwerk. And this is a Debetune here. So Debetune is also a company that I never really liked because of the design. It looked too like Star Trek-ish to me, even though I like Star Trek. This just never worked for me. But the new one is very classic. So that's not bad, but it's also a bit forgettable. So I think it's like, okay. And this Uhrwerk is Alien Predator watch.
Look, yeah.
I don't know if it's a jump hour. I think it's not jump hour. It's moving, I think. Or maybe
no, that is a jump hour.
It's a jump hour?
Because it's a circle.
Because here
it's a circle.
Yeah, it's so also a jump hour with this reptile case or something. It's
That's what I always wanted. You know, I always think I don't have enough reptilian-looking watches, right? I would like that.
Look, Martin, you have this Python leather strap, so you always wondered, I need a Python case for my Python leather strap. Right?
Or maybe a Python dial.
So if you were a lady, you would just wear a Serpenti from Bulgari, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So anyhow, then Parmigiani Fleurier, beautiful new watches. And as well, when you look at these...
I don't like them. I don't like them. Parmigiani.
And the movements, they're such beautiful movements. They're so well finished. It's incredible. Anyhow, so that was it. Then Ulysse Nardin has some new, Chopard had some new novelties, which are also beautiful. And what can I say? Gerard Perregaux with the smaller versions of their watches, right? 38 millimeters. They had a few there.
Yeah, but still always with the date window.
Yeah.
Always with the date window.
Yeah, that's true. But at least they are making it in dial color. So that's a nice thing, right? They're always making it in dial color.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't like
anyhow, so that was my visit there. It was very interesting. I had a son of a friend from Germany here, 22 years old, who had no idea about watches really in that level, and he was quite impressed. But he also asked, of course, the normal questions that somebody who has no idea about watches asks. Do all of these watches have no batteries? And you go like, okay, let's start at 0. Yeah, but it was he was quite excited to see that.
That's
and
enough.
That
enough
is
Siddiqui
that.
for a day. So my voice, I don't know why. I think we were outside yesterday, and then the allergies it was really, really dusty, hazy. So I've since lost my voice. But anyway, 2 things that I want to talk about today after your beautiful trip to the Siddiqui booth. We have some Q&A questions and answers.
Yes.
And secondly, last episode, we talked about one of Omega's discontinued lines, the Railmaster. And what happened a couple days after?
See, I think this is what we really needed. A new Omega.
Yes. But they are saying now it's going to be a 38.5 millimeter. It's going to use the Aquaterra, the small Aquaterra case. And that's all that we know.
So it is the Seamaster Railmaster, right?
No, it's a Seamaster Aquaterra Railmaster.
Oh, that's even longer.
No, okay. no, they're just calling it the Railmaster, but yes, Seamaster. But as I told you, most of these people that say, oh, but it's the Seamaster Railmaster. No, forget about the Seamaster moniker. The Seamaster name just denotes waterproof. Just like in Rolex terms, Oyster Perpetual denotes waterproof.
Yeah,
So
there is no model
Oyster
that's called
Perpetual,
Oyster Perpetual.
Submariner.
Oh, wait, there is.
There is. But there's also same as Seamaster, right? So it's the exact same thing. And all it says is this is a waterproof watch.
Yeah. So when you scroll through the Seamaster Aquaterra website and you see, maybe I should just share my screen again. And if you see what is here, you start here on the top, right? And you just see one line of watches. This is how many? 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have another,
1, 2,
and another,
3,
and another, and another,
4,
and another,
5,
and another,
6,
and another,
7, 8,
and another,
9,
and another.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
It just
18,
doesn't
19,
stop.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
That's it.
24 lines times
6
roughly
or something.
6 on each line.
Yeah,
We're looking at 144 unique Aquaterras.
It's just absolutely insane of how many choices you have, and how just if you are looking at an Aquaterra, you have to use the filters, right? It says here actually 135 watches. Yeah.
Okay.
In this result, which is insane to show somebody 135 watches on one page, because who is not going to be completely baffled by this, right?
And I love the fact that the ultralight titanium one was in there too, which is like $50,000 US.
Yes, exactly. The
Right
ultralight
there.
here, ultralight.
Why it's just sprinkled amongst the rest of the, Aquaterras.
50,000 pounds, because here I'm on the VPN there. Yeah. So what I still like is here this new Aquaterra that with a lacquered dial, the black lacquered dial. It's still a watch when you see it in person. It is super, super cool.
So
it's
this is the case. This is the case that they're basing the 38.5 millimeter version of this is what the supposed Railmaster will be based upon. It was a leak, so nobody really knows. And all we know is it will be a no date gradient. So like the one to the immediate right of that one, the gradient dial. It's a gray gradient dial similar to this.
But when you saw the old black one with the horizontal stripes on it, and then you see the new one, and you think, wow, how little difference makes so much difference, right?
I like the old one better. I like the teak lines.
No, I like
do.
this
I think
lacquer, the shiny. I am.
The other one was shiny too.
Shiny. Anyhow, so there, fantastic news. A new Omega.
Fantastic news. And they're saying, ID guy was saying, they might make this into a whole line instead of just one watch like it's been before.
The Railmaster was always the stepchild. I know why. I had it in my hand a few times because you could buy it very, very affordable on the secondary market. And so I saw it a few times and I liked it, but I never really loved it, right? So that's one of the things where you always feel like, yeah, close, but I found the dial just with a printed one that was too one-dimensional. There was not two-dimensional, not one-dimensional, two-dimensional. It didn't have anything to stand out, right? It was just flat. It was just, everything was printed, nothing was applied. It just felt a bit without depth for me.
Yes, maybe.
But so I'm hoping that they're doing it better now. Have you seen the new Railmaster? Didn't even see it.
Google it. Say put it in 2025 Omega Railmaster.
I think
where my voice is gone, I have no idea.
Maybe it's on vacation.
Yeah, I think so. I started vacation today, so.
Okay, so let's
the Omega forums right there. The one you just saw. Click on that because it's obviously just
and it's the
in
38
the forums.
Oh.
Boom, there it is.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I see it continues to just have the printed dial. Yeah, okay. But it has this Fume
gray dial.
Fume gray. I don't think it will convert me into a fan, but it's a lovely watch.
Who knows? Why it's in a nylon bag, I also don't know.
Oh, it's probably just
Is it real or is it not? That's the question.
I think it's in one of these plastic boxes that is it actually, or paper boxes when it's getting delivered. So,
it could be, but is it real or not?
Good question. I don't know.
Somebody overlaid. There you go. The two watches.
Right. So the Black Lacquer Aquaterra, yeah. It's very similar. Just that the Aquaterra has the applied indices and stuff. Well, there you go.
Anyway, all right, let's go on to our questions and our answers.
Okay.
I'm a little bit upset at the Instagram following because we didn't get enough questions, honestly, frankly. I posted twice. Send us questions. And I received responses from 3 people.
Oh la la.
Okay, one person sent like 4 questions.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, when I post these guys, I'm getting people liking I'm like, thank you for liking my question of you asking us questions, right?
Yeah, but
that
maybe,
doesn't do me any good.
Ask
us questions.
We have
Maybe
answered everything.
Yeah. I think that could be the case. But now, here's what's up. We're going to go through the questions that we did receive.
Okay.
We'll try this again later, maybe another time with hopefully more success.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the usual suspects, or I should say the singular usual suspect comes in, which is Mahmoud. He always responds to my question because he's such a nice guy. So Mahmoud says, by the way, Mahmoud changed his Instagram. It used to be Oi Watch It. But now it's tick_tut.
Tut.
Which I don't know what that means, or if it's a
Is
king.
it tit for tat and tick for tat or something?
Tick would be a clock, right? Tut would be like Tutankhamen, the Egyptian pharaoh back in the day. Because he's Egyptian, maybe?
It's the British tat.
Oh, could be.
Tatting,
I don't know. Whatever.
Like,
Mahmoud, tell us what your Instagram handle means, because you did change it, and there must have been some logic there. Okay. Has a watch influencer ever convinced you to buy or not buy a watch? Excellent question.
Yeah. So for me, I can definitely and 100% unanimously say yes. If you say an influencer. And I would expand that a bit to YouTuber, which is not necessarily,
of course,
like
that's what
a
we
reviewer,
say.
right? Sometimes you have people on YouTube which are watch reviewers. They are not necessarily like Tim also. I wouldn't call him an influencer. He's showing watches in a very factual
clinical
manner,
way. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So it's just.
But for instance, Hodinky videos and all of these Mad Watch Collector videos and.
If they haven't, I couldn't yet put my finger on which watch I was influenced for buying, but I am susceptible to when I see things, and especially when I see things very well presented, it appeals to me. So I think specifically with the Tudor watches, where Hodinky had a lot of videos, 1 week on the wrist and all of this stuff, and it just makes this story about a watch so much more appealing sometimes that you think like, yeah, that's me. That's what I want. This is the watch.
That's my lifestyle. I like to go hunting in the bush for endangered rhinoceri.
Which I do. I am.
So yes, I would like to have
seen the last 2 northern white rhinos that are still existing. Yeah. So anyhow,
aren't they both males?
No, they're both females.
Okay,
the male died,
they can't reproduce,
but they have preserved some of his, sperm and they're working on IVF for these 2 ladies so that they somehow can produce more.
I'm assuming I learned this from you, but I remembered this.
It's a sad story, but it seems to have a happy ending. So let's cross fingers.
Let's see what happens with the endangered white rhinos. Yeah. Now back to watches. Thank you for listening.
Anyhow, so this is watch influencers. I would say yes. I think, for example, ID Guide, for example. I think when he explains and brings a bit of the design background of watches and what it means and how little things change our perception of a watch. And sometimes if he plays around with the design and you see how much it changes sometimes the perception of a watch, it makes you sometimes like a watch much more than you initially did. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say he was the one that single-handedly got me to buy the FXD over and over again because he did such a good video on that one. But for instance, he had and sold the Black Bay 54. He thought it was the quintessential Black Bay quintessential Tudor. And then he sold it when there was a guy on Instagram who modded his Black Bay 54 into an actual vintage Tudor sub.
Yeah.
By changing the dial with the wording and then also changing it to a Mercedes hand. And when he did this, I think he also put a Rolex crown on it. And it looked so much better.
Right.
And he said, that killed it for him. He no longer wanted the Black Bay 54 because of the potential of what it could have been.
Yeah, it's sometimes interesting of how this works.
These things that you can't unsee, right? So
yeah, it's like when I always tease the people with the older versions of the Daytona with the not symmetrical lugs.
sides.
I also find that once you see it, it's very hard to unsee.
You never
right?
unsee it.
Even though I've never realized it when I actually looked at the watch before. Until somebody pointed this out.
The elephant ears on the Patek Nautilus, right? It just looks like an elephant.
Yeah, correct.
So there's a bunch of these. But on the other hand, in the flip side, yes, I've absolutely been influenced. But I've also been influenced not to buy something because I hate someone so much. So Nico Leonard, anything he talks about, I will just not. Once again, his jump hour watch is actually not bad. But because he has something to do with it, I will not go near it. The same thing with that. What's that creepy guy who looks like a used car salesman with his hair slicked back?
TGV.
TGV, yes. Just the stupidity of this guy. Like, I am astounded at half the crap that he says. And I look at the comments. I'm like, somebody has to realize he's an idiot. And you go to the comments, and no one. Everybody's like, "Oh, great video! Clap, clap!" And I'm like, are you guys living in the same world? Like half the nonsense that comes out of his mouth. He's like pretending to be British, but he's pretending to be French, but he's pretending to be a New Yorker, but he's pretending to be an
Italian,
Italian or whatever he is. But I'm like, and it just
and royalty and everything else. It is a bit much sometimes, right?
It's not a bit much. It's like a child.
Yeah,
like a child without a parent to put him into a proper lane with some disposable income on top of it. Like, God bless.
I think that's what his niche is, that we all feel like, I wish I could have all of this, like a toy room.
And then the thing is, he plays like classical music behind it to seem like he's such a sophisticated man. And
I know.
He has to be the worst. He has to be the worst.
He's a very, very acquired taste. Did you know he worked with Timoso for a while? So they actually hired him for a while. It was so cringy that it just after 2 or 3 weeks, he was out again. He also worked together with what's his name? Federico Talks Watches, and also that went very sour very quickly. So I don't know. It's just I'm not so sure. He's a very acquired taste. But I must admit, when there was no other really good watch YouTuber, he did very high quality videos of watches. Yes, his narration was a lot about himself and his aristocratic or wannabe aristocratic upbringing and all of his things. But he did make nice watch videos for a while.
Well, when I got into the hobby, he was one of the few. It was like him and Archie Luxury, and that was it. Ooh, Archie Luxury taught me to hate Tag Heuer. That's an influencer that really got me into something.
He taught me that everything is a shitter.
Everything. No, but he said Tag Heuer was the leading shitter brand, and I was like, okay, good to know. And I sold the Tag Heuer because of him, because I had no idea what and he was so passionate about it that you would like, okay, he must be right because he's so passionate. dude in Australia who just sits there and then shouts at the screen. Yeah, he was angry at everything.
Archie Luxury.
He's okay.
And he's still around, man. He's still around. He was he was the pontiff.
He was the pontiff for a long time. But he was a self-proclaimed pontiff. He gave himself the nickname. All right, next question. So this one is from a friend of mine named Lance from back in university, back in Texas. So I remember we went to a wedding together a long time ago. This is back before like watches were a thing. And I was wearing my Tag Heuer Carrera and he had an Omega DeVille. And we were like, I didn't know you liked watches. I like watches. And then we talked about that for a while after that. But nonetheless, he said his AD called him. And this is, once again, we have to keep in mind, he's living in the US, which is an entirely different animal than here. His AD called and they said they have a two-tone yellow gold GMT Master with his name on it if he wants it. And he said, can I pass on it or not?
Sorry, you had a two-tone GMT Master 2.
Yes.
Which one?
The
root beer or the...
He didn't say. He didn't say. But he said, can I pass on this or not?
No. I mean, look,
you would take it?
Financially, 100% you can pass on it because it sells more or less for retail on the secondary market. So you won't make money with it. It's not a watch you can sell for a premium. You will lose a bit.
Yes.
That's for sure. Me personally, two-tone GMT Master 2. I had one. I love this watch. I only sold it because I got the Daytona. I would always, I miss the watch. It's cool. If you talk about the two-tone with the Jubilee bracelet, the black and gray bezel. I don't know what is it? Not Bruce Wayne. What is it called in two-tone? Zombie? Guinness, exactly. I think
Guinness. Yes.
The Guinness and the root beer. I think they are spectacular watches. They're really, really cool. If you like two-tone, but you have to like two-tone. That's an acquired taste. Not everybody likes it, but if you like two-tone, buy it. If you don't like two-tone, run away.
I love the fact that you said this because I'm going to read you because I responded to him because I didn't want him to make a wrong decision because I felt like he was like about to go to the store, like right when he sent this. And I said, before you make any rash decision, yes, you can pass unless you actually want a two-tone GMT. They are now readily available outside of the US fairly easily. So as in the US generally is a few years behind or a little bit behind. Things that are available here are not available there yet.
Or vice versa. It depends.
But it could be sometimes vice versa. But generally they're a little bit behind the market trends. So they will be a few months behind. So essentially if it's available here in a few months, it'll be available there too readily. And I said it's still at or around retail price secondhand. So for this one, I would say only get it if it's the actual watch that you really want.
Yeah.
And he ended up buying it. So,
okay.
So congrats to him for buying it. But once again.
And what did he say? I mean, how does he like it?
He sent a picture and I just said, congrats.
Okay. So
that's how men communicate. Like, you don't say, how does it feel on your wrist? He said, he said, I'm going to end up getting it because I don't have a two-tone in my collection. One, two, I'm putting too many miles on my birth year GMT.
So which one is it then? When you send your picture, then you need to know.
No, I just saw the clasp and I immediately knew
then
what it
you
was.
Also know it. If it's Jubilee, it's the...
It was yellow gold. So yellow gold would mean it is the...
Guinness. Must be the Guinness.
Yes. Because the other one, the root beer, was on rose gold.
Yeah.
And he said the AD has me on the short list for a day date.
Yeah.
So he wants to show them some love.
That is my other thing. The two-tone watches are generally always have been at Rolex the ones you have to buy before you get the hot pieces, the hot steel pieces, right? So the gold version or the two-tone versions are the ones that you just keep on buying so you get the really cool stuff. And that's back, right? So these watches are now relatively easy to get with relatively little weight. The GMT Master 2 in two-tone.
But if you want to support and this is what I was saying, if you want to support your AD.
If you want to get your profile up, that's the one to take, right? So you have the root beer is only in oyster and the Guinness is only in Jubilee.
This is Jubilee. This was Jubilee.
Yeah, Jubilee. That's the only version. Then. And that is the watch I had and I loved.
You had the two-tone. That was the exact same one.
That is exactly my watch. Exactly. Yes. And this watch is wonderful. It's fantastic. It wears like a dream. I want it back in my collection. But at the moment, I don't think, because as I said, I sold it to get certain other watches.
But I have noticed that there has been a
Daytona.
huge uptick in the number of watches available.
Yeah.
And this leads me to what I was saying. Essentially,
Yeah.
I have a friend with zero purchase history, got on a list for Wimbledon and
sitting
bought
opposite you.
No.
No, for the ID.
A real
the ID.
friend.
Yeah.
He bought a Wimbledon with no sales history, just put his name down. They called him like 2 weeks later.
Right.
So things are being available, right? Second, and this is the configuration with the fluted bezel and the Jubilee. So this is the one you want in full stainless. I've been regularly seeing Explorer 2s and Explorer 1s, both polar dial and regular black dial available at ADs regularly. And I've been seeing OPs in stainless steel, mostly 34 and smaller, but I've been seeing a few of those. And this brings me to a watch that I was thinking about getting.
Okay.
I was thinking a 36mm blue dial OP would be nice for me. But when I said this, I thought, of course, the Sunray blue dial, the navy blue dial, and now it's discontinued, and it pisses me off.
Yes, it is.
Because now they have
it is one of
new
the nicest OPs. I think the blue dial OPs.
It is.
This was my first Rolex. Was an OP 39 in blue dial. Beautiful watch.
Yeah, and now it's gone, and all you can get is this matte baby blue looking one. It's like a medium blue, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to yet see it in person. I haven't seen it in person yet. This blue, a lot of people who see it say
Nico
it's
saw
actually
it. He had a
quite
video
nice.
about it,
Huh?
and it's like a matte medium blue.
It is a bit
like
of a
royal
flatter
blue.
feeling one. Yeah, it doesn't have the depth of a Sunray
But
or
he
lacquer dial.
said Nico said that he wanted the khaki dial, the beige dial is the one that he said was the winner. So
these ones are. Did you see of how much they are actually at the moment selling?
Yeah, they're nuts. They're nuts.
Absolutely nuts. These pastel, is it pastel colors? Yeah, pastel colors. They are just insane of how much they charge for these watches. I don't know. Are they hotter than the Land Dweller pre-owned? I think they are. They have some much higher multiple. I don't know what the color is actually called for this new Oyster Perpetuals. Is it olive? I don't know.
No, they call it beige. It's a beautiful name for that amazing color.
Pistachio.
Beige.
Pistachio is the one that everybody
No,
wants.
pistachio is the green one. Yeah. But beige is like
and the blue one is just called blue. Which is
so.
I like when they actually keep it simple. It's like, how should we call the blue dial? Let's just call it blue. Okay, good idea.
Now, speaking of, I was watching the golf show. If you watch the golf show on Netflix called something, what was it? Something swing, full swing. And, I love these box to box productions. No, I don't play golf, but I love anything box to box makes about sports. I will watch it. And what did I see? This Irish guy who played with Rory McIlroy, this Irish guy called Shane Lowry. And throughout his entire thing, what was he wearing? He was wearing a 40mm celebration dial.
Oh.
And that dial you could pick out of a huge lineup. And I still think that was such a really weird thing to do. And now that they're gone, now that they're discontinued, it's just such a weird, it's so weird.
I tend to agree. This is a very weird idea to just say like, look, we are celebrating that we actually made colors.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a weird thing. And they just brought it out like a year after they had the colors, right?
All the colors. No, they discontinued the colors. No, they discontinued the colors.
Discontinued some of the colors.
And then they came out with this as like, look, all of the colors are still here. They're in just one watch now.
Yeah. And then the usual rumors about, this dial is super hard to make and all of this stuff. And you think, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Out of these rumors. And then now it's discontinued. Yes.
It's weird. All right, now let's wrap this up because we got one guy who asked 4 questions, and we're gonna spit fire.
Yeah, I have one question about the market.
You want to go yours first, and we'll do mine last.
Okay. So I asked the question: is the watch market dead? Because the prices have now or are about to rise again, especially in the US. 10% because of the Swiss franc has been much.
And it's already a shit market to begin with.
So we have 10% because of the Swiss franc, just a normal currency fluctuation because the dollar dropped so much versus the franc. Another 10% for the tariff that currently is on Swiss watches. And another 10% is just the normal price increase. So that is 30%. Then they also are limiting discounts, especially in the boutiques. Especially here, for example, they limited the discounts from 15% to 5%. So that's another 10% that you don't. I mean, this is like 30 to 40% if you all put it together.
Yeah.
Insanity. If you look at some watches of how much they are now costing, like Gérard Perregaux has increased the prices again. So, and people asked me, then eventually, Hussein said this to me, will the pre-owned market also move up? And I told him, no, it won't, because the demand is not there. For some watches, like Rolexes and
like
stuff,
my
there's always
Oris that
some
I keep
demand.
trying to sell.
Yes, exactly. But for some watches, there is no demand in the used market. So their prices will not go up because you can just be happy if you sell it at any price sometimes, right?
Tudor, this is exactly where Tudor is. When I tried to sell, once again, the Tudor prices keep moving up and up. So for instance,
yes, absolutely.
I'm not going to talk with
prices,
our deal because our
prices.
deal was, you and I, but I'm going to talk about the Black Bay 54.
Yes.
The Black Bay 54 is now a 16,000 dirham watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it from a dealer.
Yeah.
For 9. And it sat around for a long, long time.
Yes. So can you imagine of how much the dealer bought it for?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. He maybe got 7 if he was lucky.
Yeah.
He got 7 out of it.
Exactly.
And it was a less than a year-old watch.
But that's the reality that we had before COVID. 50% roughly, right? A Breitling, a Tudor, everything is you just buy pre-owned. Especially
Rolex
if it was
a little bit
worn,
different. Yeah.
50, 40% off the retail price. It is exactly. It's just what it is, right? And we are back to this now with most of the watches that don't have this crazy demand.
But
watches that are relatively easily available don't sell for more than that.
But you and I agreed yesterday. We were talking, and we're just idiots in general. We do the opposite. We buy high and sell low. That's what we do. Buy high, sell low.
Secret for success.
We've never managed. I've never managed to actually come out ahead on something. My sub, I came out ahead.
Some of the watches I did. Yeah.
I bought my sub for 26 and sold it for 34. That was not bad.
I think overall I'm still a bit in the plus, or at least I'm neutral, plus minus 0. But I did, especially with the cheaper watches, you take a hit.
And the cheaper watches, you add it up, how many of these shitters we bought for 2K and sold for 1K, you add that up, you're going to...
Sure. There's a lot. But then there's, of course, other ones where you make money because you got them for retail and they sell for a premium and stuff. So there's a couple of things. I used to, during the good times when the prices went up and up and up, I did some nice trading up. You buy something, look, you buy something for 12. I bought my first Oyster Perpetual 39 for 12,000 dirhams. I sold it for 14. I made 2,000 dirhams profit. If I would have waited 1 year, I could have sold it for 28.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Who knew? Who would have known? That
my friend
watch...
Adrian sold his. He had the same one, the Blue Dial 39 OP. Sold it for 10K to Timepiece 360.
Yeah.
And that was the going rate at the time, right?
Yeah.
You buy it for 13, you sell it for 10.
Exactly. Normal. It is a depreciating asset, right? It was always like that, usually, because it's a readily available model. And there are thousands of them or hundreds of thousands of them in the pre-owned market as well available. So there is no, rarity.
So, yes,
so
guys,
is the market dead? Is the question. And I said, no, it's not dead. The new market has challenges because they're increasing the prices to astronomical amounts where I have the feeling there will be less and less people buying these watches for the retail price.
But I also think that people are they went through the whole motion during COVID. They bought their watches. They built a collection, and now they're just kind of stagnating. They're okay with what they have. They don't need anything else, and that also is
everybody's
pushing this.
keeping up, keeping their money a bit tighter, absolutely, because there's so much of uncertainty in the world. On the other hand, I think it's just a normal evolution of the watch market. There are some hype watches that are still with a premium. People who have good jobs or a good income or are rich, they still buy watches. But there is, I think, some levels where the watch brands are pricing themselves a bit out, especially the watches on the lower middle, like Tudor, where you go and like, okay, this is now a level where you think,
Tudors used to be 10K watches and now they're 20K watches.
10, 15K, that was that, and you had a very special model and it would be maybe 20, but you could get it with a discount. But now it's like 25, like my Blackbay GMT two-tone. It's now a 25,000 dirham watch.
Yeah.
And you think, what the hell happened? And it's, this watch, I think I bought it for 15 at the time. Right, and you think it was 17,
and some of the chronos are pushing 30. The two-tone chronos, exactly.
30. That's where you think, wow. And I know that these watches, I know the dealers had one for 19, tried to sell one for 19, and it was in his shop for 3 years. 3 years, and nobody wanted to buy it. So
it's absolutely nuts.
I don't understand. I think there are certain things where if the demand is not there, the pre-owned price will not rise, no matter what the list price is doing. If you can't, as a pre-owned dealer, you can't sell it for 20, the list price is went from 60 to 90. It doesn't matter what the list price is, right? Because if you cannot sell it, you cannot sell it. And then, of course, if you have this watch and you bought it for list price and you're trying to sell it, good luck.
All right. Yeah. Now, lastly, we will wrap up with
the last question that you have.
The last 4 questions. Quick fire.
Quick fire. Okay.
Sebastian _ timepieces asks 4 things, which I appreciate him asking for things because it fills up our time.
Yeah.
First, and I like this question, your favorite off-road vehicles and matching watches.
Okay.
I always think about this, right? Like if you have a sports car, you have to wear a chronograph. If you have an off-roader, you wear a dive watch kind of deal. I do tend to match cars to watches in my mind. But what is your favorite off-roader? And what watch would you say goes with
I am
it?
a bit on the hype train, I would say, but I am...
you like the new Jetour?
No, I am in my basement car park. I have 2 or 3 of them now parked in my basement parking. And it's the new Defender.
Oh, no.
I really like it. I really like it.
Wrong answer.
No.
The correct answer is Ineos Grenadier, and that is it. It is fine.
The Ineos Grenadier is also nice, but it's the old version of the same car.
That's the whole point.
Yes.
The essence.
And which watch would I wear with a Defender? And that is the thing, because
a Hublot.
No, that actually asks for a Richard Mille, I think. But no, it doesn't. Good question there. I wanted to say, it's from my collection. What would I take from my collection wearing in that represents the car a bit? I would probably go with my
Panerai.
Yeah. Panerai. I think Panerai and Land Rover, it's just like, that's a good mix.
So my two favorite off-roaders currently are the Ineos Grenadier. As I said, I really, really like them. I do, of course, I like the new Land Cruiser Prados. I do like those as well. It's just so bulky and square. But my next door neighbor has one, and I've gotten kind of, the more I see it, the less I like it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, I at first in theory, I loved it, all square, everything. But then, seeing it every day, I'm just like, eh. So I think Ineos Grenadier or a Suzuki Jimny. Those are my 2 favorite off-roaders.
Okay.
And
not the Lada Niva.
I love the Lada Nivas. They're so cool. Those are also very cool. They are indestructible. Mm-hmm. So with the Ineos is going to be the Pelagos, of course.
Okay.
That's the perfect watch with a Suzuki Jimny, you would have to wear a Swatch or G-Shock maybe.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. All right. Next question. Quick fire round. Okay. This one's a little long, so I'm not going to. He says top 5, but I'm not going to say top 5. Top watch you want to add to your collection right now, because we don't have time for 5.
Okay.
One watch. Go quickly.
So yeah, we
Quick
just
fire.
talked about the GMT Master 2. I would love to have a GMT Master 2 in my collection. I have only one Rolex in my collection. I feel that it needs to be a second one. However, I also still think at some stage I need an AP in my collection. These are wishes.
Yes,
What
of course.
is-
That's all it is.
What is next?
So,
And I still have, and I keep on repeating this until probably I die, but I still want the Blue Notte from Panerai.
yes, you said this.
And I always keep on repeating this, and I never buy it, but I don't know why. But it's still a watch I one time want in my collection. And you?
So as I said, I would like a 36 millimeter old blue dial OP, but I don't know if I would buy one because it might step on my Explorer's toes a little bit. So I don't know about that. Maybe. That's one. I think that's kind of the thing that I've been thinking about most would be that.
But you know what? With my Rolex, previous Rolex watches, there's a few that I would love to have back. My Explorer 2 black dial. I wouldn't mind having that back. My GMT Master 2 Guinness, I wouldn't mind having that back.
Mm-hmm.
My Skydweller two-tone with the black dial, with the Jubilee bracelet, this disco watch, I still have a soft spot for it. So there's a lot of, especially Rolex watches that are sold that I really
That you want back.
don't mind having back. Yes, but
I've also been looking at vintage date justs, but I think the the OP would be the right way. All right, that's done.
Okay,
Now,
next.
why is Martin afraid of date windows?
Yeah, he's scared of date windows because he thinks that if he looks too long into the date window, it will suck it into his vortex and then he will be thrown back into the 70s. That then will lead to him wearing bell-bottom jeans.
Yes, which nobody likes bell-bottom jeans.
And then he has a mullet. And once he gets into that look, then he will probably just die of shame.
No, it is absolutely not that.
No?
The issue is I think date windows are not needed. I think on most types of watches, such as dive watches and tool watches, the kinds of watches that I like, it's just a superfluous thing. You're not diving to 200 meters and then looking at what date it is. This is exactly what Comex did with the subs, right? The people that worked the desks got the date windows and the people who did the actual diving had no date windows.
So you're telling me my Blancpain 50 Fathoms world timer doesn't make sense? But when you are underwater and you suddenly need to know what time it is in Tokyo?
In Sri Lanka, yeah, it's definitely needed.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the reason. And I'd like the symmetry and ease of use of not having any complications, right? It's just so easy to set a watch forward, backwards. There's no need to go around the dial to see when it switches because you don't know when the AM and the PM is and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, and that is Martin, but just to get the the universe back into balance. I love date windows, and this is one of the most used complications on my watch because more than for the time, I probably check the date on my watch. For whatever reason, when I work, I need to know the date very often.
I don't, right? So that's the other thing for me is obviously in university, I never need to know what date it is. I need to know what day of the week it is.
We have the date
that
in front of us.
I need to know if it's a Monday, Tuesday, but that's it.
On our computers, on the top right, if you're a Mac, on the bottom right, if you are a Windows user, you have the time and the date all the time. But I still use my watch for that most of the time.
But it's rare that I'm using my computer for anything else than giving a lecture. So that's another thing is then that means I'm also not looking at the date there either.
No,
so
okay.
Time is always important, but date is not.
Tempus fugit. Time is fugit.
Exactly. All right. Last question from Sebastian_timepieces. Where is the Lume Plotters merch? I need a coffee mug in my life.
I couldn't agree more. I just got a biodynamic headphone company mug again, because I attended an event of the new in-ear launch 3 days ago, and I love mugs. I have a Norcane mug. I have a Caliber Club mug from my German watch club. We have to design this kind of merch. Absolutely, I agree.
But it has to glow.
Yes, I think, did you know these mugs, when you fill them up with hot liquid,
Yes, exactly.
you see something? So
that's what we need. We need that.
reveals something.
Absolutely.
Then yes, we have to do this.
That would be
okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put you in charge of that.
Deal. We will find that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be actually pretty cool. So, what else? Hats.
This is one of the things you get. I have this bag here of hats that is just next to me. A Norcane hat that I will take with me to Africa with my Norcane, because my Norcane was supposed to be a watch for travel. That's why I bought it, and I got such a special deal. My God, I paid like. Anyhow, it's a good one. Then I have this Breitling hat, right?
I have that one too.
Then I have a G-Shock hat.
I give it to the wife. The wife has that.
A G-Shock hat. Then I have a Bell & Ross hat. Then I have a Frederic Constant hat. And I have, of course, all my Porsche hats. But that's because, there is a Porsche in the family. But this is... these are the things when you think, how many hats do you need, right? I mean, Lume Plotter's hat, We need to have a very smart, cool little joke on it, right? Then it might be cool. Something that like need money for a minute repeater or something. That is from my other watch club,
what we need
right?
to do? No, I think the mugs are a bit too big. What we need to make are lapel pins, like little pins you could pin to a bag or a shirt.
Okay.
Like the little metal pins, right? And it just says Lume Plotters, or maybe just has our logo. And we hand them out at Dubai Watch Week.
Oh, yeah.
Because then, just simply by giving it to somebody, they'll be what the hell is this? And they have to Google it.
We have to hand them out to influencers so that we are in their videos. Wow, we hijack that. That's cool.
That's the idea right there. We give them out for free. So I think that would be the first thing we do.
And then,
get some pins. Because I think those are going to be cheap to manufacture as well, right?
Yeah, we already have our press passes, by the way, for Dubai Watch Week. We will.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yes.
We will be there.
So that means you guys can also get your tickets already. Sign up for Dubai Watch Week, not for itemized events, but for the whole event itself. The tickets.
Correct. Get your tickets early.
Live.
Then in the Dubai Watch Week app, you will see eventually the events popping up. These could be activities, that could be panel discussions, that could be other presentations. They're excellent. They have wonderful speakers there. They have wonderful brands representing there. They have super cool activities, but spaces are limited. Everything is free to attend, but if they are publicized, you need to book them. If you can't book them, you can put yourself on the wait list. And so if somebody drops out...
And usually just show up at the door and they'll let you in.
Sorry?
If you show up at the door, usually, unless it's a workshop.
Yeah.
If it's an event and it's full, that you show up at the door, you stand there and they'll let you in.
They might let you in, and also not everybody comes, right? If a lot of people register and they don't cancel, and then they might not be there. So if they have still space when the event starts, you can go in. Try this out if there's really an event that you want. There will be streamed, I think, again, live streamed or recorded and streamed on YouTube, so you can watch them later on. But there's nothing cooler than actually watching it live, sitting in the audience with so many other people from the watch industry, right?
Yep.
You could sit next to, Tim Mosso or all of the other fans.
Or one of the Lume Plotters.
Or one of the Lume Plotters, exactly. Or the Scottish Watches guys or anybody else that you know from the watch game, and they will all be there. Yeah. So it's just lovely to hang out with us, with all of us.
It is.
Yeah.
So there you have it. All is well that ends well. So we'll see you next week.
And with that, bye-bye.